National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo is shutting down. This is pretty crazy, and there's a lot to the lore here as to what happened to this organization. It used to actually be really big, and it still actually is. Yeah, they have more than 100,000 people participating in this every single year. So why did it shut down? There's been a lot of controversies that led up to this, and it's really just gross mismanagement by woke activists who just couldn't handle running an organization well, and it's really, really sad to watch. But we're going to enjoy every moment of this downfall here as we talk about all things in the culture, my friends. And if you're interested in books, if you love writing and the like, this is a great place to be. I really appreciate you. I'm a professional writer with more than 20 books published. I make a full-time living out of it, and I really appreciate everybody who's being here. So please hit the like and subscribe button and join us. And check out my book. This is my new book, The Demon's Eye. This is classic sword and sorcery. What I've noticed about the industry is that mainstream publishing really has gone the way of the woke. It's caused a lot of problems. It doesn't produce great stories anymore. So I make my own, and this one is a fantasy. It's a standalone, and yes, not even a series. You can read it and finish the story. This is something I feel like we need more of in our culture these days. And so The Demon's Eye is really about a classic hero's tale, a reluctant hero, a strong male lead who fights against evil, rescues a princess, the good stuff. This is what's missing these days. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's in the description below, and thank you guys for giving it high ratings and high reviews so far. One of my best launches of all time. It's only $4.99, and it supports our channel for what we do. Thank you for that, and grab it today. Start reading. Thanks. Okay, so National Novel Writing Month is a nonprofit organization. They've been embroiled in many controversies in recent years, and now it's announcing that it's shutting down its author encouragement service for good. So it stands for National Novel Writing Month, if you don't know. They have a website, a sense of community where writers who wanted an extra push to attain their writing goals. The idea is pretty simple. During the month of November each year, the challenge is to write 50,000 words on a project to do something novel length and complete your book. The website has a tracker, community forums, other productivity tools to help writers. Unfortunately, the site's been admired in leftist identity politics in recent years, veering from its mission to try to appeal to the woke mob in publishing. In 2022, a whistleblower inside the organization came forward to me and exposed what was going on. The whistleblower said, "I've been one of their remote volunteers for almost a decade, and I'm a person from my local area who's enjoyed it. A few weeks ago, HQ, that's headquarters, sent out an email about their new policies they'll be implementing. One of them requires all volunteers to go through critical race training, woke and DEI training of some sort." When they pointed from one of their companies, and then send them a letter about how they will implement their training to their region. I haven't looked into it as of yet. I'm assuming this will require turning all of our spaces into safe spaces and all of the woke SJW, whatever. Right now, my area is a chill space. We don't focus on labels, identities, or call-out culture, but I'm afraid if I don't run one of these types of spaces, I'll be removed from my spot. They also said they have special BIPOC, that's Black Indigenous Persons of Color, Zoom meetings to discriminate against white authors. Makes sense because they're headed out of one of the craziest leftist communities, which is Berkeley, California. Not only that, but they were putting out emails a couple of years ago as well, urging people, of course, to vote for pro-abortion things and send money to pro-abortion causes. They were literally advocating for baby murder. And it's like, wait a minute, isn't this an organization about writing novels? What's happening here? So as you could tell, they were blowing a lot of their resources. And I'll tell you exactly how much resources they have in just a moment. It's insane how much their funding is year over year and how they can't even manage to do things right because of that. So as this goes along, they had another thing right that was going on, and this was from a person who posted to X saying the nonprofit ignored reports about one of their mods funneling teen minors from their site to an ABDL fetish site, and they banned the mod after 6 months of users uncovering the issue when it went public. Yes, there was a whole grooming operation going on within NaNoWriMo, and they completely ignored it. Now, they did a video on why they did their shutdown. They actually finally addressed it publicly. They have a executive director who made this video and said, we banned them for code of conduct reasons outside of this. These were just allegations made. It wasn't proved. Absolutely wild that they completely dismissed this even now. So here's more. Remember, NaNoWriMo had issues with transparency that ended with alleged child predators infiltrating their org, and it only came out because users found out. Their new draft contract bans any volunteer from revealing any internal user to info to users. So if you found out that something like this was going on, if you let it be known, you'd be, of course, removed as a volunteer and the like. So they were attacking whistleblowers within their own organization. Imagine that. The only reason anyone found out about the alleged abuse and exploitation of minors was because the users collaborated with an internal information. They're trying to make sure that no one can try to hold them accountable ever again. This was back in 2023. Now, NaNoWriMo didn't die at that point. You'd think that would be a scandal that would upend an organization and kill it. On top of that, of course, you've got your weird BIPOC crap going on and your weird pro-abortion stuff going on. You think a lot of people would tune out. That would end them. No, that didn't do it. That was not enough for the woke. That was not enough for the SJWs. There is more. And the one thing that actually shut them down, that really ended everything, that caused the major problems last year, was not addressed by them in what they were saying or anything at all. This thing is the craziest part of all, that this is what they got offended about and did them in. Yes, they made a statement about allowing the use of artificial intelligence, and that was what got the author community turning against them. All the above didn't matter. It was this. They posted their website. We neither explicitly support nor condemn any approach to writing, including the tools that leverage AI. Now, this caused a massive shitstorm on social media. Authors were condemning NaNoWriMo. Again, they didn't even say that they endorse it. They just say, yeah, we don't know. It's just a tool. Some people can use it. There's harm that could be done with it. And then on the other side, there's ethical questions. And as they go on their statement here, they say, but you know what? We want to have a community encouragement for people to use their voices. And they say that there's a lot of disabled people out there who would need the use of AI to make this a thing to happen. So because they're like, okay, we want the disabled people in here, everybody got outraged about them. And this is the weird part about AI. Whenever you talk about AI just existing, which it does exist, and we have to report on it. If I'm a cultural channel, I have to report on it. I talked about Studio Ghibli memes being made last week, and I lost a ton of subscribers. It was like, what is happening here? Just the discussion of it triggers people. I'm sorry, guys, but we want to discuss hard topics. We should be able to discuss hard topics, and I guess you're still here, so you don't really have a problem with me discussing hard topics. But some people do. It's really a scary thing about our society that, like, people will tune out just because of the discussion of a certain topic and actually get outraged. It's very bizarre, but this is what happened to NaNoWriMo. So authors started to quit this group en masse. All the volunteers started quitting. People were saying they're no longer supporting it. They weren't giving financial contributions anymore. This is the incident that sparked massive problems and had a huge backing away from NaNoWriMo. It's very wild to watch because of that. Now, they responded against after this, after all these people went out there, saying that there was harassment involved, and so that they were being harassed. Our social media channels became vitriolic. Intimidation and harassment we witnessed were causing harm within our community of writers. The fact we crafted last week were written to curtail those behaviors. So this is where it was. They had a big fire going on, all because of the use of AI, and it actually gutted their organization. Now, they made a video about what was going on, and they're now shutting down. And here it is, the state of NaNoWriMo. This is some lady, the community update. Kilby, who's apparently their executive director, never has a video before on YouTube and went off for 30 minutes. Did not even mention this whole deal. This is actually what collapsed the organization, believe it or not. But there's a bunch of financial mismanagement that went on as well. This is the email that went out stating that they're going to be shutting down, that they're no longer going to support anything, that it's all over. They said, we came to you today with sad news. After 6 years of struggling to sustain itself financially, NaNoWriMo, the nonprofit, will be beginning the process of shutting down. Explaining how we got here is both simple and complex. The funding woes that have threatened so much of our nonprofits in recent years are an unextraordinary trend. Many of our beloved organizations announced their closure last year. Many are fighting for their lives. Media coverage in the financial crisis within the sector, especially among nonprofits and the arts, has been widespread. There are many ways in which NaNoWriMo is extraordinary, and the reasons we had hoped we could buck that trend. The sheer size of our community, its global reach, its longevity, held at impressive levels even during the tumultuous year. There is no shortage of writers who want to participate in NaNoWriMo, and yet building a community, being able to sustain it are two different matters. 2024 was a revelatory year. To fully understand how we reached this decision, why we view it as the only alternative, we encourage you to watch the video about the state of NaNoWriMo. And this is the video that I talked about. Now, in this video, she actually reveals that they make about $1.3 million per year. Now, they're shutting down, having made $1.3 million per year. How the hell do you have $1.3 million per year and can't run an organization? If I had some patrons out there, guys, and I had $1 million a year, we would be changing the absolute state of culture. I already do a ton, and sustain a career doing this with a fraction of what that is being brought in. So, guys, please do subscribe to get channel subscriptions, subscribe to the Fandom Pulse, buy our books. It's super important because we're doing things here that are very, very big, and we need a lot of support. If you're a rich person who wants to really jumpstart our Fandom Pulse reporting and the like, I have ideas on how to grow that. I'd love to talk to you. If you want to patronize us, I really appreciate it. Now, this is crazy. They get that big of an organization. They have 100,000 plus people every single year in there, and that's how it is. If 100,000 people are in there, you can expect 100,000 people are going to get you about 3% of donations. So you can get 3,000 people to donate. If they all donate, $20, you're in pretty good business at that point. So how do you blow $1.3 million per year going on from all this, from different sponsors and the like that were going on here? Well, it's almost all on the staff. If you go into their what they said on the matter and actually see where they did all this in the video, she actually puts up graphs that she'll show what goes on. So here's where it is. A lot of it's merchandise, sponsorships, foundation grants, individual gifts, and other income. Here it is. And so she's complaining that it dropped from 1.3 million to 1.2 million. Okay, so you got a little bit of a drop. We're in a bad down economy. So let's shut down the organization. Well, here's where it is. Payroll and staff benefits, 65%. This is exactly where it is. They have a bloated payroll where they're paying themselves a lot. Again, this is probably because they're based in California. It costs a lot to be here. It's crazy. That's a lot to run a stupid website. I got to tell you that right now. Look at this. Technology and program expenses. This is the only spot that actually runs the organization. It's 8.7% of their budget to actually run NaNoWriMo. That's all it actually costs. So these people are blowing it. Fulfillment expenses, of course, are merchandise and the like, so that is what it is. But again, that's not a huge piece of the pie right there. A lot of this piece of the pie is just going towards the staff and going towards just enriching the people who are part of this. That's crazy. This is the whole problem with their whole setup, very obviously at this point. So they're complaining about it. They claim that things are going down. They have a problem. Now, this is pretty interesting on this level. They actually took a loan out during COVID from the federal government. So the federal government gave them an additional $150,000 boost, which is not much when you're making a $1.3 million per year. Just cut some people. Just make the program better. It shouldn't be that hard. But you can see right here what they've got. Their peak was in 2018 with 122,000 people, and that's pretty high. And now they're down to about 100,000 people as of 2023. Still, 100,000 people is huge. Being down 20% on that level, just cut your organization 20%. It's very, very stupid. But what happened was all the volunteers left. A lot of people were just absolutely crapping on this organization because of the AI thing. And so they lost a lot of the heart of what was going on. And to run it without volunteers is what was actually going to shut this down. They can't do it themselves. These are lazy people. They're all SJW woke people, you got to remember at this juncture. And so they don't want to continue all because of that. So they're losing money now, and they've been losing money at a clip since 2018 without cutting anything because they don't ever cut anything when they're SJWs. They just were going to rely on extra government grants and the things like that to get them going and to keep this all operating. And that's the whole thing that really caused the dominoes to fall at the end of the day. And that's what they said in their video here. Absolutely wild stuff. This is a situation of a get woke, go broke. And she even said in the video that the staff to program expense ratio is uncommon with nonprofits like this. So the staff expenses are way higher than normal nonprofits. So they were really blowing everything as an organization. They were bloated. They were woke. They turned people off because they invested themselves into politics. They had weird grooming operations going on because they went to that side of the politics. And none of that actually even did them in. It was all AI just killing off their volunteers. Crazy stuff. This is where it's at today. There's been a 15% drop in everything at this juncture, and it's kind of sad because I actually came up in NaNoWriMo. Like my first book I wrote back in 2012, I did that with NaNoWriMo, and it was a lot of fun, and I liked the author tools and the like. There are other groups that do this now, and I don't really need it myself anymore. I'm a professional at this, but it is something that it was a cultural staple among writers. I mean, you saw 100,000 people doing this annually. Those are big numbers, and it is now gone because of wokeness, appealing to the wrong people, and of course, now you don't even talk about AI, or that's the end of you. My gosh. What do you think about this? Leave a comment down below. Love to hear from you. Hit the like and subscribe button, and please check out my Demon's Eye Classic Sword and Sorcery Fantasy. You're going to love this if you love classic Silver and Golden Age books, guys. This is a spot for you. Thanks for being here. Support our books. It's in the description below. Appreciate you being here.